Good evening, Professor. This is Praveen Lama.
And this is Sanam Maharjan.
So, this is our final presentation for IS361 course, Database Architecture and Programming Section 2. In this presentation, we have created an analytical view for 3 different websites. We have used cuny.sps.edu, oracle.com, and berkeley.edu. In this presentation, we will be presenting different analytical aspects of these websites in terms of number of users, regions, browsers, operating systems, page views, sessions, group by, date range, etc. So before we talk about all these sections in the Tableau storyline view, we would like to start with the SQL code that we created and then move on to all these sections.
As Praveen mentioned, the first step for our project is to create a database. So we use MS SQL to create a database and export data out of it. For that, we started off with creating the database, and then we create table on it, and we create the required fields for the table. Since we are using a analytic view based on sessions, page views, websites, and the browser, we insert the data as per required. These all are the data. Now after the data insert, we exported this data into the CSV, and as per our project requires, it need to be run multiple times. So we added timestamp on the file name of the CSV. So what it does is exactly like it creates the time format in the different variables, and it's added into our export commands. This way it helps us to create CSV as per the timestamp when the code is executed. So once it's been done, we are using Tableau to create analytical dashboards for our project.
Okay, so after the data was exported from SQL and imported in Tableau, we were able to create different views that are shown here in Tableau and publish it into the Tableau public site. So to start with, the first slide that we created displays the number of users by region, operating systems, and browsers. So the first chart over here, if you look at it carefully, it tells you the number of users who use Linux, Mac operating systems, Unix, or Windows to access particular websites. For instance, on April 2016, there were only 2 users using Linux software, Linux operating system, to access berkeley.edu. Similarly, 1 user for Oracle and 5 users on May 2016 using Linux to access berkeley.edu. So we have a filter which users can use to check the data or filter particular period of the data. So let's say, for instance, we're using 3 months of data from May 25th to July 25th of 2016. So it kind of shows you updating all the data in the tables. Similarly, the second chart over here shows the number of users by browser who use Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Opera, Safari, and so on to visit particular website. So if you look at oracle.com, there is no one using Chrome to access oracle.com on May. However, there are 2 users in June and 1 users in July to access oracle.com using Chrome. So this analytical view kind of shows the number of users in terms of operating system, browsers, similarly region by continent, you can say. Now, talking about the second tab here, we have a page view details grouped by continent, browsers, and operating systems. So what we did here on the second tab is we have tried to display the page view details grouped by continent, which is region, browsers, and operating system. So the first chart over here shows Africa, the continent, where users viewed page on a particular website. So 364 views were from Africa on January to view Berkeley.com. Similarly, if you go randomly to May, a Linux user operating system right here shows that Linux was used on May from Africa to access Oracle.com. So similarly, Antarctica, Asia, and so on. So the second chart here shows the browser information on how many page views were done using certain browser. For instance, we have closely around somewhere between, I would say, the sum of this total was the total view on January, users using Firefox to view different websites. 166 users to view Berkeley, 1,153 users to access Oracle.com, and 289 users to view sps.cuny.edu website. So that's the view that this table shows here. Similarly, on the operating system, on January, Linux operating system was used to access Oracle.com, and there were 570 hits or the view page. Similarly, 994 users viewed the page berkeley.edu or the website using Linux. Similarly, different website, different chart shows similar data. And this pie chart over here shows the total page view by continent. So the total in here that we were talking about earlier, this number kind of details that from South Africa there were a total of 10,124 page views. And when we talk about page views, we're talking about multiple hits, maybe in the same page or different page, but within the same website. So here's an example of how the complete chart kind of updates when you click on particular region, and this chart is interactive depending on what information you're looking for. Similarly, like I said earlier, we also can change the date range to get the specific information about this website or the page view details.
Similarly, we use session details. This view pretty much describes the users duration of the websites from different continent, and it's categorized by the month, December, January, February, and we can always filter this date using these date filters. And what is saying is like pretty much for the berkeley.edu for the December month there was like 688 minutes active sessions during the December, and also for Africa this is like 245 for the website SPS. Same as, and this is the percentage of it's in a percentage per new sessions in percent. Same as this is the website bounce rate in a percentage. The bounce rate means it's taking time to load. Okay, so this is a bounce rate view where it means like any users been to websites and without interaction, when it's close the pages or doesn't interact at all, then it's record as a bounce rate. And this is also, we have like a nice maps for the continents where you could see the total numbers in a sum for the time durations. And also if you click on the particular region, then it gives you details of the regions, like on the bounces for the by the OS, by the browsers, and then what kinds of browsers they used, and they bounced from there. So pretty much this gives idea for the management or for the viewers to see like what kinds of browsers are most popular and what they are not using much. So this kinds of analytic view we use in our Tableau storylines.
Okay, similarly, the last slide we created reports the highest and the lowest page view by region in the year 2015 and 2016. So let me just go to the last slide. Okay, so the way we created this dashboard is by making sure that the lowest and the highest kind of highlights so that we can easily differentiate between the lowest and highest number of hits on that particular year and that particular website. So for instance, if you look at this data right here in 2015, we have the highest hit by Australia for berkeley.edu, which is 6,437 hits. And if you look at Oracle in 2015, the highest hit was from North America. If you look at the lowest hits, I'm sorry about the connection, I guess there's some issue here. However, we're still in here, and sorry about this. So we're working on the last tab right here. So what we're talking about is the highest and lowest hit. So if you look at the highest hit on 2016, the highest hit for berkeley.edu was from North America, which is 6,615. If you compare it to 2015 data, the highest hit was from Australia in 2015 for berkeley.edu. So you can kind of compare this data to make sure what's the trend of the data, whether it's going down, going up for that particular website, for that particular continent or the region. So now if you look at the lowest hits for the website in the year 2015, the lowest hit was from Asia, which is 2,070 for Berkeley, whereas the lowest hit for berkeley.edu for the year 2016 was from Australia, which was 4,148. So I guess that summarizes the storyboard line for the Tableau for the final project that we have created. That's the last slide for us. Thank you everyone for your time. Thank you, Professor. It was great pleasure to have you in our class. We learned a lot from this, and thank you everyone.
Yep, thank you everyone for all your time and watching and getting our presentation. And we like to wish you happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Professor. Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you, everyone.